When I was a youngster, I probably was about 9 years old, Mr. Bruton used to come around to the home and we'd be out in the yard playing and he'd talk to us. He put his hand on my head one day and he said, "Eva, what do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "I'm going to be a nurse." "You are?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to be a nurse." The last 3 years I was here, I lived in the hospital. And the nurse seemed to think that I could do the job. And she stood back. So when the children came in, I took care of when they were sick or they got hurt or whatever. We had a doctor from Lexington by the name of J.R. Terry. And I came in every Tuesday and I worked with him if we had anybody sick or whatever. One morning he told the nurse, "I'm taking Eva with me, I'll bring her back after a while." And so I'd go up there and he taught me how to do dressings, he taught me how to give shots, told me what to look for when the children were sick. He just made my life wonderful, wonderful. So I played basketball, and one day after we finished practicing, he said, "Eva, when you get your clothes on, come out here, I want to talk to you." Well, I went out there and I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "I want to ask you something." He said, "You still want to be a nurse?" I grinned real big and I said, "Yes, I do. I am going to be a nurse." He said, "Well, if you mean that, we'll have to get started." So he started getting applications from different schools of nursing for me, and 2 of them didn't want me, 3 of them did want me. But I went to Concord, Barris Hospital School of Nursing, because one of the students that lived here at one time was a nurse there. Mr. Bruton took me into his office. He says, "I want you to go to school. You've been accepted." And he said, "But it's got to be paid for." And I thought, "Oh, what am I going to do?" He said, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to let you borrow as much money as you knew, go to school for 3 years. Now, there's going to be a payback time. If you start school and you drop out, you've got to pay everything, all the interest that the bank is charged at that time. And if you finish, you don't have to pay any interest at all. Either way, you got 10 years to pay it back." So my first job was in a hospital, and I was making $150 a month, and I thought I had the world. I'd never had any money before. But every time I got my paycheck, the first thing I did was come down here and give Mr. Bruton a check. Well, 6 years went by, and I was still paying. But I came down one day, and I walked in his office, and he's sitting there, and he stood up. He said, "What in the world is wrong?" He said, "You usually come in here crying, and here you are laughing and smiling." And I had a check in my hand. I said, "I brought you something today." He stood up and came around there and said, "What is it?" I said, "This is my last check." That was the proudest moment of my life. And I've worked as a registered nurse for 38 years before I retired.